And did I give you an A?
I don't
You
think we
earned
had.
it.
Did we have grades
Yeah,
back
we had
then?
grades. I gave a lot of A's, I think. How are you, Lauren?
I'm doing great.
Well, it's good to see you. Now going through my photographs, I find some pictures of you, and I did find two pictures that you took that we put out as postcards for the Heartland Cards. And one is of our good guy here, Fred Anderson, and one of them is of Flora Purim.
Right.
And you are quite a photographer yourself, and I noticed that you have a book right here. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, how you ended up running the Jazz Institute of Chicago.
Well, it's been a long road, and it's interesting to me to sort of look back and find the connections from my past, especially sitting here at the Heartland Cafe with you, Mike. Out of that organizing for social change class, I became involved in Rising Up Angry.
That's an organization I founded and worked on and in before we went to the Heartland.
And out of that, we were involved in an effort to bring culture to the masses called the Cooperative Energy Supply.
Yeah, we had a spark plug with
That's
a
right.
butterfly with a red star with a city in the background. It's a great logo. I keep thinking about what can I pull this out and use it for again.
Well, so that was a lot of fun. I was really young back then. I was probably 18 or 19 years old. But that was my first experience in, in working in a cultural context and also in producing music. After that, actually, I produced a women's jazz festival with Helen Doria called...
The late, great Helen Doria. We miss her so.
Yeah, we all do. And that was called From Bessie to Billy to Now.
I remember.
And another one of my early independent music productions was right here with Charlie Hayden and Hamid Drake and Fred Anderson. Remember that?
I do remember that. I think that was a benefit for the Nicaragua Solidarity Committee.
Probably, something like that. I don't remember.
No, I remember when Charlie Hayden was here. That was something else. And all the rest of them backing him up. It was a great show. And in those days, I don't think we didn't record them on our phones, and
We didn't
I don't
have
think I have a
phones.
recording of that. Or I did find some pictures, I think, of that. Well, you're producing big events these days, and when did you get involved with the Jazz Institute of Chicago? Because you are the executive director.
Yes, I'm the big cheese, the grand
cheese.
fromage. Actually, I got involved in the Jazz Institute in 1980. I was invited to become a board member by one of the departing board members, Howard Mandel, who left for New York and now is president of the Jazz Journalists Association. So I joined the board, served on the board for 14 years, and now I've been executive director for 18 years. It's been a long time.
Yeah, and you're making a living at it.
Yes, I am making a living at it, and the really nice thing is that it has allowed me to use my photography as I've developed my administrative chops. I photograph everything that I produce, and it's kept me kind of active as an artist who's really interested in photographing jazz.
Well, I got to say, I love your photographs, and one that's not jazz is a picture of my son Jesse on my shoulders that I just love it. And, I've always you were one of my favorite students. We had some arguments politically afterwards as you became further left than me. And it looks like we're harmonious again. And
It's amazing what old age does.
yeah, it does. I mean, I'm getting along with everybody. A lot of sects that I used to badmouth. It's like, hey, as long as you're against the you-know-who's, I'm for you. So, they're one of the reasons that you ended up on the radar for coming on the show, and I just found out from Katie, who was going out of town as I was coming back, that you were booked for this week, is that there is an event that people here in Rogers Park requested to do along with the Jazz Institute of Chicago, and there's a technical name for it, Jazz Chicago or something. Tell us about it and when this event is.
Okay, the technical name is Jazz City.
Jazz City.
And Jazz City is a partnership that the Jazz Institute has had with the Chicago Park District for 17 years now. We bring free jazz concerts to neighborhoods all over the city, from Rogers Park all the way down to West Pullman at 124th Street. So it's been a really great way to bring the great jazz talent of Chicago right where people live, to their neighborhoods. And working with the Park District, allows everybody to come, grandparents, children, parents, everybody. So we've actually been producing concerts at Loyola Park for a number of years. What is really special about this one is that Rogers Park has kind of risen up to become a part of the event, which is very fortuitous because it's also the 45th birthday of the Jazz Institute of Chicago. Next Friday, April 11th, at Loyola Park, we will be celebrating our 45th birthday with a big band concert with Burgess Gardner's Well-Oiled Jazz Machine.
Burgess Gardner's Well-Oiled Jazz Machine.
Gardner is he's a former principal of a Chicago public school, retired now for a while, great jazz trumpeter, composer, and arranger. So we're expecting not only great swing tunes that you can dance to, but also really great original big band pieces. We're partnering with the 49th Ward, with Alderman Moore's office, who have invited us to be, or have joined us
For his
for
usual
his
Follow Me on
Friday. Yeah, which was a program we weren't aware of, but one of the aspects about Jazz City is that we're really interested in involving the community as much as possible. So in addition to Follow Me on Friday, we're also working with Lost Era Antiques. If you want to go to that store on the corner of Howard and Sheridan, they're giving 25% off to rent costumes to wear to the big birthday bash on Friday. So
I probably have some clothes that are old enough that I could wear. and
you
fit
probably
in.
do, and so maybe you can model them
Saving everything.
in front of the Rogers Park Historical Society exhibition, which will also be mounted at the park. And so it's really a neighborhood celebration. I hope that everybody can come out. It's going to be a great time.
Well, what other big events do you have coming up this summer or this spring?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because we have a lot coming up. The Jazz City program continues, and I'm going to leave some of the flyers here so people can check it out. But the whole schedule is on our website at jazzinchicago.org. Next month at La Falla Park, we have the great flutist Nicole Mitchell, who is going to...
What day is she coming? Because we've been going back and forth about getting her on the radio here.
Well, actually, it's May 2nd, where I understand you also have a big opening here at the Heartland Cafe.
We have a big benefit on the 1st, I know.
Okay.
Oh, the 2nd, we also have Lester Doré, who is a good friend of both you and I.
Well,
Me,
right?
Who did the original Heartland logos, did the Seed, did Rising Up Angry, and he's coming to town with a big show. And on May 1st, let me just say that Evan West, who worked here and was one of the people injured, and his wife Jamie was killed down at South by Southwest in that terrible car accident.
Yeah.
He was on a scooter. We're going to do a benefit for Evan
On May 1st.
in Twin Peaks on May 1st. So it's going to be a pretty hot 2 days.
Well, Nicole Mitchell will be at La Falla Park with Haki Madhubuti, doing a premiere of a composition called Liberation Narratives. In June, we have Everett Reed and June Yvonne at Columbus Park for Jazz Cabaret. In the summer, we do a series in Millennium Park called Made in Chicago World Class Jazz, which will open with a tribute to Paul Laurence Dunbar by Milton Suggs, who's a young jazz vocalist, and it will end with an homage to Nelson Mandela. This starts Thursday, July 24th, and runs on consecutive Thursdays throughout the summer, and then running right into the Jazz Festival, the 36th Annual Jazz Festival, which the Jazz Institute has programmed since its beginning. We're not able to release the entire schedule yet, but some of the headliners include Dave Holland, Terrence Blanchard with Ravi Coltrane and Lionel Lurkey, and the sort of the underlying theme of the festival is the 100th birthday of Sun Ra.
Oh, Sun Ra.
Oh, Sun Ra.
I saw him live at the Ann Arbor Blues and Jazz Festival.
You know what? I had the great honor and privilege of hanging out with him backstage at the Jazz Festival in 1988. And I was scared to death, but I sat down with him, and he was actually really easy to talk to. And he gave me a little piece of wisdom that I like to share. He said, you know, most people say we have 6 senses, or 5
He
senses.
probably says we got 10.
No, he says the seventh sense is a sense of humor.
He was something else. And you know, there is a guy who played with him who lives in the neighborhood, Phil Coran.
Yeah.
Kalon Phil Coran, who, you know, you can go back to. I was just had Tom Dart on the show, the sheriff, and we were talking about when Phil Coran, in the late 50s, I think, went into the Cook County Jail and played some jazz dedicated to Malcolm X. Tell us a little bit about the local jazz scene. You know, I mean, we did a Sunday afternoon with William Perry. The late William Perry brought in a lot of musicians at the No Exit, you know, probably 10 years ago on Sunday afternoon. And I wonder how many other little things going on with jazz are around town that a lot of us don't know about unless we're really looking for it.
Well, you know, if you want to be in the know, you can join the Jazz Institute.
I'm going to join. Sign me up.
I will talk about that, but I wanted just to take a minute to
Sure.
make sure that people know that April is actually Jazz Appreciation Month. And that's something that was started on a national level by the Smithsonian Institute. And it's really taken off over the last 10 years. And in the last 2 years, they've decided that April 30th is International Jazz Day. Last year, they had a big concert in Turkey, which featured Herbie Hancock and the really big jazz stars. It's going to be in Tokyo, Japan this year. So April's a really big jazz month. And so it's a good time to check out all of those little things that are going on in nooks and crannies. But I also want to, of course, tell you what the Jazz Institute is doing for
You got the microphone, dear.
for Jazz Appreciation Month. We have a series that is at the Drake Hotel. Maybe the Drake was known for its big band dance programs back in the 30s and the 40s, but in its newer incarnation, we've been partnering with them for the last 3 years with a program called the Next Gen Jazz series. And in that, we are able to feature young emerging jazz musicians who may not have a name yet, but are really wonderfully talented. It's part of the Jazz Institute commitment to really supporting and nurturing and developing the next generation of jazz. It's free, so it's a great way to check out the Drake. It's in the Palm Court, really fancy schmancy, but you don't have to pay anything to go in. So that actually started on this past Thursday, and Kevin Kozol Trio will continue next Thursday and the Thursday after that. Actually, today, this afternoon, there's a concert at the Chicago Cultural Center featuring our Jazz Links Youth Ensemble, which is a group that is also free and available for any young Chicago Public School child across the city from 5th grade to 9th grade who want to really polish their skills and sort of get a head start on the road to becoming a professional jazz musician. So that's at the Claudia Cassidy Theater at the Cultural Center this afternoon at 1. Next Wednesday, we have our Jazz Links Jam session at the Chicago Cultural Center. It's another free event where we encourage young elementary and high school and sometimes college students to play with the great Chicago professional house band, which includes Robert Irving III, a Rogers Park.
And who has played on this stage on a number of occasions.
Right. Bob Hayes was Miles Davis's pianist and piano
I
director.
actually saw him do a wonderful event in Millennium Park.
Right, which we
couple years ago.
produced.
Yeah, I'm sure you
Sketches
did.
of Brazil. That was part of our Made in Chicago thing. But that's kind of what we try to do is really focus on the mentorship tradition of jazz. So as much as we can, we send the elders into the Chicago Public Schools to work with the teachers and the kids.
Well, my son, I had two sons that went to Jones, and the youngest one, Cadian, who's touring right now with Twin Peaks while they're taking a little break, but he got to spend his last 6 months at Jones every afternoon going to the Cultural Center and doing jazz.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, as much as he's a rocker, the kid knows his jazz too, and got to play with some other hotshot musicians. I think Ahmad Jamal's kids, etc. So there's a lot of it seems to be like a resurgence of younger people getting into the jazz scene.
Yeah, and
I hope.
part of that is due to the very dedicated band directors in Chicago Public School. There are not a lot of jazz programs, but most of them are taught by musicians who basically gave up or sacrificed having a career to teach young kids to make sure that there will be a next generation of jazz. And I wanted to just point to one more activity we have is we have an ensemble called Noteworthy Jazz Ensemble, and it is comprised of Chicago Public School band teachers. Some of them have actually since retired, but they dig the idea of getting together to play music so much. It's really probably the only kind of band, the only band of its type in the country, and we say these are cats who are practicing what they teach.
Practicing what they teach.
Practicing what they teach. So they have we showcase them once a year at Buddy Guy's Jazz Legends, and that's going to be on Monday, April 22nd. Buddy Guy's is at 700 South Wabash.
And you can get all this information if you go to
www.jazzinchicago.org.
You know, I get some information about what's going on. I find it very interesting. Steve Hashimoto.
Yeah,
he has news from the trenches. He sends it out.
He's been doing that for years.
For years. And he, he'll tell you about what it's like to just gigging and all the bad experiences, the good experiences, and, need someone to fill in for someone else. He also keeps us updated on the number of wonderful musicians who are passing away. Seemingly pretty regularly, a lot of old guys out there. So you know about Steve Hashimoto and his News from the Trenches.
Yeah, actually, I think I have fallen off his mailing list for some reason, but...
Steve, I know you don't get up this early, but you may be watching this on CAN TV, so I'm going to clue him in to put you back on.
I love our jazz community. There are many people, so many people who believe in it and feel it so passionately that people like Steve, who really is a musician who works in the trenches, who does gigging jobs.
Who did Rising Up Angry stuff when he was in a rock and roll band in the old days.
And I don't remember that. But there's a lot of things I don't remember.
Before Cooperative Energy Supply. You were young, Lauren.
But this is a city that has such an amazing, rich tradition of jazz from the time that Louis Armstrong came here from Louisiana to the AACM creating the next wave of the evolution of jazz music to all the young cats who are doing it here now. And now people are coming back from New York, they're coming back from San Francisco, or wherever they left, they're coming back to Chicago.